Robby Gordon's family tragedy, the 2016 murder-suicide that shook NASCAR. On 14th of September 2016, Robby Gordon, one of NASCAR's most self-reliant drivers, had his life torn apart when a welfare check on his parents' Orange Park Acres home in California ended in tragedy. Police found his father, off-road legend Robert "Baja Bob" Gordon, 68, and his mother, Sharon, 57, deceased inside the residence. Detectives told reporters their preliminary determination, an apparent murder-suicide, with Sharon dead by strangulation and Robert dead by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There were no outstanding suspects, no wider public threat, and the Orange County Coroner's Office took custody for examinations while investigators processed the scene. The next day, Gordon made a brief statement outside the house, thanked fans and media, and asked for privacy as relatives absorbed the news. To the racing world, the loss resonated beyond headlines, because Baja Bob was a pillar of desert race competition. Baja 1000, Baja 500, Mint 400, and a mentor who shaped his son's path. The hands-on ethos from that shop, build your own equipment, accept risk, own the result, flows through Gordon's NASCAR tenure. His road course wins with Richard Childress Racing, and later his Stadium Super Trucks venture. Yet the events of that week allowed no tidy comeback arc. Two parents gone in a single night, a family managing arrangements, and grief while cameras waited at the curb. Reporters moved on. The record remained plain and painful, and a driver long defined by independence was left to carry a legacy suddenly intertwined with loss. It is a documented tragedy, often referenced briefly, rarely explored fully publicly. Fireball Roberts' fiery Charlotte crash and death, 1964. Glenn Fireball Roberts, one of NASCAR's early superstars, suffered a horrific crash during the 1964 World 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. On lap 7, Roberts swerved to avoid a wreck between Ned Jarrett and Junior Johnson, but his Ford slammed into the inside wall and burst into flames. Fellow driver Ned Jarrett heroically pulled Roberts from the burning car, but Roberts had already suffered severe burns over much of his body. He clung to life for 37 days in critical condition before succumbing to pneumonia and septicemia on July 2, 1964. Roberts' death shook the racing world. He had planned to retire after that race and underscored the era's rudimentary safety standards. In fact, Roberts had once admitted, "I fear fire the most," and tragically, those fears were realized. His accident prompted NASCAR to introduce fire retardant suits and specialized fuel cells shortly thereafter. The image of black smoke billowing from Roberts' flaming car, with Jarrett seen leaping to help, remains one of NASCAR's darkest moments, a stark reminder of the danger drivers faced before modern safety innovations. Spingate, race manipulation at Richmond, 2013. In September 2013, NASCAR was rocked by an unprecedented race-fixing scandal dubbed Spingate. In the final laps of the Richmond playoff cutoff race, Michael Waltrip Racing, MWR driver Clint Bauer spun his car under suspicious circumstances, allegedly to bring out a caution and alter the race outcome in favor of his teammate Martin Truex Jr. Radio communications later revealed that MWR had orchestrated the spin and even ordered a third team car to pit intentionally, all aimed at manipulating which drivers made the chase playoffs. NASCAR officials, upon investigation, levied some of the harshest penalties in sports history: a $300,000 fine to MWR, then the largest ever, indefinite suspensions of team executive Ty Norris, and the docking of 50 championship points from Bauer, Truex, and a third driver involved. The penalties knocked Truex out of the playoff field in favor of Newman, and even led NASCAR to add an unprecedented 13th spot in the chase for Jeff Gordon due to the unfair manipulation. The fallout tarnished MWR's reputation. Primary sponsor Napa quit the team, and Spingate stands as a dark chapter, showcasing how team orders and ethics can go awry in NASCAR. Rob Moroso's fatal DUI road crash, 1990. Rob Moroso was a rising NASCAR star, the 1989 Busch Series champion, and a contender for the 1990 Winston Cup Rookie of the Year, until a tragic off-road incident cut his life short. On September 30th, 1990, hours after racing at North Wilkesboro, where he finished 21st in the Holly Farms 400, 22-year-old Moroso was driving near his home in Lake Norman, North Carolina, when he lost control and collided head-on with another car. The crash killed both Moroso and the driver of the other vehicle, 27-year-old Tammy Williams. Investigators later revealed Moroso's blood alcohol level was 0.22, over twice the legal limit of 0.10. And that he was speeding at roughly 75 miles per hour in a 35-mile-an-hour zone at the time. The fatal DUI wreck stunned the racing community, as Moroso had been widely regarded as a future superstar. In a controversial footnote, NASCAR still posthumously awarded Moroso the 1990 Rookie of the Year title based on his on-track points earned that season. The incident cast a pall over NASCAR's image and served as a sobering reminder of the real-life consequences of drunk driving, even for one of its own promising talents. Austin Dillon's Daytona fence wreck injuring fans, 2015. In July 2015, a terrifying last-lap crash at the Coke Zero 400 in Daytona highlighted the ever-present danger to drivers and fans. As the field raced to the checkered flag after 2 a.m. following a rain delay, contact in the pack sent Austin Dillon's number 3 Chevrolet flying violently into the catch fence. The car went airborne, struck the fencing cockpit first, and was shredded by impact. The engine ripped out, the chassis torn apart, before landing upside down on the track in a heap of mangled metal. Spectators watched in horror as debris, including large pieces of the car, sprayed into the grandstands. In the immediate aftermath, crew members from several teams sprinted onto the track to check on Dillon, fearing the worst. Miraculously, Dillon survived and climbed out of the wreck with only minor injuries, a bruised tailbone and forearm. But the carnage did not spare the crowd. A total of 13 fans were attended to for injuries caused by flying debris. 4 received medical treatment at the track. 1 woman was hospitalized in stable condition, and 8 more declined treatment. Fortunately, all survived. The crash, eerily reminiscent of a 2013 Daytona incident that injured at least 28 fans, led Daytona to further strengthen its fences and safety protocols. Dillon's brush with disaster remains one of NASCAR's darkest modern-day incidents, underlying the inherent risk of high-speed racing. A.J. Allmendinger's 2012 drug suspension. Midway through the 2012 season, NASCAR was hit with a high-profile drug scandal involving driver A.J. Allmendinger. Then 30 years old and driving for Penske Racing, Allmendinger was randomly tested at the Kentucky race, and his A sample came back positive for a banned substance. Just hours before the July 7, 2012 Coke Zero 400 at Daytona, NASCAR announced Allmendinger had failed a drug test and would be temporarily suspended. Under its substance abuse policy, Allmendinger was immediately pulled from the car, with Sam Hornish Jr. flown in last minute to replace him. Within a few weeks, the B sample confirmed the result. Allmendinger had tested positive for amphetamines, a class of stimulant that includes prescription Adderall. NASCAR promptly issued an indefinite suspension, mandating that Allmendinger complete its Road to Recovery rehabilitation program before reinstatement. The suspension cost Allmendinger his high-profile ride. Penske Racing released him and cast a cloud over his career. Allmendinger maintained that he never knowingly took an illegal drug, attributing the positive test to an over-the-counter supplement or energy pill. He did comply with the recovery program and was reinstated on the 18th of September 2012, eventually resurrecting his career. Still, the incident was a major embarrassment for NASCAR at the time, showing that even top drivers were not immune to the sport's strict drug policies. DEI dissolves into Ganassi Merger, 2009. The late 2000s financial crisis spelled the end for Dale Earnhardt Inc., DEI as an independent team. A sobering moment for a company once synonymous with NASCAR success. DEI was founded by the legendary Dale Earnhardt and had thrived in the early 2000s. But after Earnhardt's 2001 death and the 2007 departure of his son Dale Jr., DEI struggled to stay competitive and attract sponsorship. By late 2008, economic headwinds and sponsor pullouts left DEI unable to fully fund its cars for 2009. In November 2008, DEI owner Teresa Earnhardt agreed to a merger with Chip Ganassi Racing, forming a combined operation known as Earnhardt Ganassi Racing, EGR, starting in 2009. The once unthinkable alliance between longtime Chevy team DEI and Dodgeback Ganassi was made out of necessity. Tough economic times meant neither could survive alone, so they joined forces to field a 4-car Chevrolet team. In the merger, DEI's remaining drivers, Martin Truex Jr. in the number 1 and Aric Almirola in the number 8, were combined with Ganassi's team, including Juan Pablo Montoya in the number 42. While the new Earnhardt Ganassi outfit did score notable wins and later evolved into today's Chip Ganassi Racing program, the DEI name quietly vanished from the Cup Series. For many fans, the dissolution of DEI The house that Earnhardt built was a dark, disappointing end to a NASCAR dynasty, emblematic of how economic turmoil can upend even storied racing organizations. Michael Waltrip's illegal fuel additive bust at Daytona, 2007. Toyota's much heralded debut in NASCAR's Top Series got off to a scandalous start in 2007 when Michael Waltrip's team was caught red-handed cheating at the Daytona 500. In pre-race inspection, officials discovered a suspicious silicone-like substance in the intake manifold of Waltrip's number 55 Toyota, an illegal fuel additive designed to boost engine performance. NASCAR reacted swiftly and harshly. Waltrip's crew chief, David Hyder, was fined $100,000, and Waltrip was docked 100 driver points, with his team owner, Waltrip's wife Buffy, also losing 100 owner points. NASCAR ejected both Hyder and the team competition director, Bobby Kennedy, from the track and suspended them indefinitely. They even confiscated Waltrip's entire primary car, forcing the team to race a backup in the 500. The penalty, one of the most severe in NASCAR history, overshadowed Toyota's Cup Series entrance and tarnished Waltrip's reputation. A chastened Waltrip publicly apologized to NASCAR, Toyota, his sponsors, notably Napa, and fans, saying he was embarrassed and claiming the illicit additive was the work of a rogue employee without his knowledge. Despite his mea culpa, the damage was done. The phrase rocket fuel entered NASCAR lore to describe the dark episode of rule bending. Waltrip's team struggled to regain trust and performance in the aftermath, proving that NASCAR takes an extremely dim view of chemical cheating, especially on its biggest stage. Joe Weatherly's fatal Riverside crash, 1964. Two-time NASCAR champion Joe Weatherly, fondly nicknamed Clown Prince of Racing for his jovial personality, met a gruesome end in a crash that exposed the lax safety standards of his era. In January 1964, during the Motor Trend 500 at Riverside, a road course in California, Weatherly lost control in turn 6 and his car slammed into the concrete wall. Weatherly was not wearing shoulder harnesses, only a lap belt, and had no window net in his car, standard practice at the time. The impact caused Weatherly's body to jolt left and his helmeted head struck the wall as his car careened along it. He was killed instantly upon impact. Weatherly's fatal accident, coming just months before Fireball Roberts' death that year, forced NASCAR to confront its safety shortcomings. By the next season, the sanctioned body mandated window nets to keep drivers' arms and heads inside the car and required the use of shoulder harnesses. Weatherly had reportedly disliked and refused the shoulder restraints. While those safety improvements were important milestones, they came too late for Weatherly. His son underscored the dangers of 1960s stock car racing when drivers' protection was minimal. It remains one of the sport's darkest moments, the loss of a beloved champion whose carefree persona had endeared him to fans, only to have his life cut short on the track. Weatherly's passing, along with other tragedies of the era, ultimately ushered in a new focus on driver safety in NASCAR's evolution. Ransomware attack and data breach, April 2025. Not all of NASCAR's darkest moments happen on the track. A recent example came via cyberspace. In April 2025, NASCAR's corporate IT systems fell victim to a ransomware attack that exposed sensitive data and threatened the organization with extortion. A hacker group known as the Medusa Ransomware Gang claimed responsibility, boasting that it had infiltrated NASCAR servers and stolen over 1 terabyte of data. The attackers demanded a $4 million ransom, posting a ticking countdown online with a deadline of April 19, 2025, and threatening to dump all the stolen files publicly if payment wasn't made. To prove their claims, the Medusa hackers released screenshots of internal NASCAR documents, including confidential spreadsheets, invoices, employee contact lists, sponsorship deals, and other proprietary information. They even published a directory listing of NASCAR's file server structure on the dark web. NASCAR officials initially declined to comment publicly on the alleged breach, but cybersecurity experts noted the leaked materials appeared legitimate. The incident cast a harsh light on NASCAR's cybersecurity practices, or lack thereof, revealing that even a major sports entity could be laid low by cybercriminals. Ultimately, it's unclear if NASCAR paid the ransom or managed to mitigate the damage, but the Medusa attack of 2025 stands as an unsettling episode. It's a dark story ESPN would rather skip, one where drama involves hackers and data leaks instead of drivers and checkered flags. Jack Ingram's early 90s assault case and NASCAR discipline. Hall of Fame driver Jack Ingram, a legend of NASCAR's Busch Series, had his storied career marred by a violent incident that led to his suspension and arrest, a tale often glossed over in official highlights. In 1986, the 49-year-old Ingram was leading the Busch Series points when he got into a post-race altercation at New Asheville Speedway, NC, that crossed the line into criminality. Upset over on-track contact, Ingram intentionally rammed another competitor's car, driven by Ronnie Presley, during the cool-down lap, sending Presley to the hospital with injuries. NASCAR officials deemed Ingram's actions detrimental to stock car racing and suspended him indefinitely, in addition to imposing a $5,000 fine, a significant punishment for that era. The situation escalated further when local police attempted to take Ingram into custody at the track. Ingram resisted arrest, resulting in him being forcibly detained. He was later charged with 3 counts of assault on law enforcement officers and 1 count of disorderly conduct for his scuffle with the cops. The combination of NASCAR's suspension and the legal charges effectively dashed Ingram's championship hopes that year. He ultimately lost the 1986 Busch Series title. Though Ingram would eventually be reinstated and continue racing, the Ironman never fully lived down the incident. It serves as a stark reminder that even revered veterans can face serious consequences for letting anger turn into violence. A dark footnote in NASCAR's history that isn't celebrated on the highlight reels. That's it for part 2 of our NASCAR Stories Too Dark for ESPN series. If you missed part 1, the link's in the description. Make sure to check it out. We drop a new part of this series every Thursday. Thanks for watching the NASCAR's Explainer. Don't forget to hit subscribe. We post fascinating NASCAR stories every single day.